Just yesterday, a student asked me, why do we write letters when we can just text a message or send an email or perhaps make a phone call? And all that I told him that letter writing is important in the field of business. When you write to people in business, when you write letters of formal communication, when you write letters to family, friends, relatives, cousins, it's also important for students who are attempting the general IELTS, for students who are appearing for the banking and government exams. So you see, my dear students, letter writing is of utmost importance even today. And that's why you ought to know how to write letters. Well, this is Sir Thomas here. Welcome to my channel. Today, you are going to learn on how to write letters. We all know and have learned in the lower grades there are two types of letters, the formal letter and the informal letter. Well, let us see what you need and how you should be writing these letters, both informal as well as formal. Now, in informal letters, these letters are sent to your friends, your family, your classmates, your colleagues, your cousins, whereas formal letters are letters sent to managers, editors, government officers, your boss, your school principal, etc. Now, in informal letter, the language used is very relaxed and very casual, whereas in formal letter, the language used is very serious and official. In informal letters, you are allowed to use contractions. Now, what is a contraction? It is a verb with an apostrophe, like didn't, wouldn't, hasn't, couldn't, etc. A verb with an apostrophe. Whereas in formal letters, you do not use contractions. So instead of saying didn't, you would say did not. Wouldn't, you would say would not. Hasn't, you would say has not. Couldn't, you would say could not, etc. In informal letters, you can use idioms. Now, for example, under the weather. Now, it is an idiom. It simply tells you that you are unwell. Or pink of health, that means you're in good health. But in formal letter, you will not use any idioms. You will simply say that you are unwell or you are not well, and that's why you cannot attend work. That's it. So you will not use idioms in formal letters. Now, you can use phrasal verbs in an informal letter. Now, what are phrasal verbs? A verb that has a preposition. For example, you say find out. Your find is a verb, O is a preposition. Go up. Go is a verb, P is a preposition. You put that thing together and say prices have gone up. Now, in formal letters, you do not use phrasal verbs. For example, when you say find out, in formal letters, it would simply mean discover. Prices have gone up, you would simply say prices have increased. Go up means increase. So you see, you are allowed to use phrasal verbs in informal letter. You are not allowed to use phrasal verbs in a formal letter. Use of imperatives. You can use imperatives in an informal letter. Now, what are imperatives? Sentences that start with a verb, with a doing word. For example, do your homework. Send it soon. So these are imperatives, a more of an impolite form of communication. Now, coming to formal letters, no usage of imperatives. Okay, you would say you may send it at your earliest convenience, where you are more polite with a longer complex sentence. In an informal letter, you are allowed to use abbreviations. For example, TV, ASAP. Whereas in a formal letter, you are not allowed to use abbreviations. So instead of TV, you will use the word television. Instead of ASAP, you would say as soon as possible. So remember, in an informal letter, you would use abbreviations. In a formal letter, you would not use abbreviations. Again, you can use exclamations in an informal letter. You cannot use exclamations in a formal letter. In an informal letter, you can use common words, but you cannot use Latin words. Now, what are Latin words? Spanish, French, Italian are Latin based languages. For example, you would say intelligent in French, whereas in English it means intelligent. Now, English words have a Latin root and are more formal. So, you can use common words in informal letter, but you cannot use Latin words in informal letter. Whereas in formal letters, you are allowed to use Latin based words and as well as uncommon words. Now that you have understood, on now that you have understood what and how an informal letter is to be written or a formal letter is to be written, let's see the basic pattern. Now let's go first to the informal letter. Now, what is an informal letter? We'll see the pattern first, okay? Because it's very important that you follow the pattern when it comes to your board exams, when it comes to your writing of any paper, okay? So, informal letters are basically personal and friendly. The language used is very simple and you can express your feelings freely. Okay, look at the board format now. Everything is written along the margin. Okay, gone are the days when we used to write the sender's address on the right hand side. Everything now is done on the left hand side of the margin. So you first write your sender's address followed by the date. Okay, now the sender's address and the date would fetch you half a mark. Then you leave a line, your salutation. Dear Ashwin, my dear friend, my dear Ashwin, dearest Ashwin, depending on the relationship you have with the person. For that, you will fetch half a mark. The body of the letter. The body of the letter should be minimum of 3 paragraphs. You can write 3 or more paragraphs. And that will give you approximately 2.5 marks based also on the language you use. After the body comes the subscription, where you will use yours lovingly, yours affectionately, yours sincerely. And moreover, if you're a student, you will say yours obediently. Now that gives you half a mark. Remember, assessed by an examiner. The examiner is looking out for these 3 things: your format, your content, and your language. And that's why you see the last word language is of 1 mark. That means it totals up to 5 marks. So FCL, remember FCL? Format, content, and language. Make sure you follow strictly the format. Then you have your content, which what you asked for, and then add a little more flair to your language. Moving on to formal letters. Now, what are formal letters? They are written for an official purpose. The language over here should be very polite, clear, and respectful. Now, this is more elaborate, more polite. Let's see the format that you got to follow. On the left hand side, you have your sender's address and your date. Both this will give you half a mark. Leave a line, your name, your designation, and the receiver's address. So, after the date, you will leave a line and put the name, the designation, and the receiver's address. That will give you half a mark. Leave a line, subject. Please write the subject. The subject is given in the question. Even if you're doing a regular correspondence, either to the editor of any newspaper or to the BMC official or to your school principal, you ought to write the subject. It's not only for examination, but also when you are having an official correspondence with any official. Okay, so please do not forget to write the subject, or maybe sometimes you may have the reference of the number or the date of the file. That gives you half a mark. Then you have your salutation. Now, respected sir, respected madam. Please do not write dearest sir, my dear madam. It is not formal. Okay, so respected sir, respected madam. Then the body of the letter should be minimum 3 paragraphs. The content of the letter should be minimum 3 paragraphs. You can write more than 3 paragraphs. That will give you 2 marks. Leave a line, subscription. Yours faithfully, yours truly, yours sincerely will give you half a mark along with the name of the sender. Along with the name of the sender. Now, as told to you earlier for the informal letter, in the formal letter too, the examiner will assess you on your FCL, your format, your content, and the language. So please make sure you strictly follow the format. You strictly follow the content. The content is what is asked in the letter, what is asked in the question. What is your subject all about? Language, of course, the better you write, the more marks you will get. Okay, so all that will give you your 5 marks. Now, I've given you a sample so that you are aware of how and where the letter comes in your board paper. Now, letter writing is part of your writing skills. That is section 5 of your board paper. I'm talking of those who are appearing for state board exams. Now, for those students, letter writing is question number 5 and the 5th section of the writing skills. Okay. Now, you have a sample letter in front of you. Imagine that you are Sushant Samita Sharma from C41 Sakar Nagar, AP Road, Chembur, Mumbai. Okay. You have an option of either attempting the informal letter or the formal letter. In the informal letters, your A1 and A2. Now, I have drafted a letter for you. See whether everything of the format is there in the letter, or you can freely look at the letter at leisure and see whether every point that I've spoken of is there in that letter. Now, we are doing first A1, informal letter. C41, Sakar Nagar, AB Road, Chembur, Mumbai, 4071. The sender's address. Okay, you are Sushant. If you're a boy, write Sushant. If you're a girl, write Sumita. So then you leave a line with the date. Now, please be very sure of the date, boys. My dear students, be very careful when you're writing the date. The date should be the date of your examination. Now, today's class will have today's date. Okay, that's why I've written 21st July. Okay, now you will write the date you have your English paper. Okay, so if it's on 2nd March, write 2nd March 2027. So whichever date you have your English paper, that will be the day you will write as date in that letter. Dear Sailesh is the person you're writing the letter to, your salutation. Then you look at the letter, the content. There are more than 3 paragraphs. Then a concluding line saying, convey my regards to your parents, your subscription, your loving friend, and your name, Sushant, the sender's name. Now, gone are the days when we should write XYZ. Okay, so in case you are thought XYZ, please avoid that. We should write this in the earlier times. Today, you will write the name given to you in the question. If there's no name given to you, then you write XYZ. Fine. We move on to the formal letter. Now, if you want to write the formal letter, now you have a choice between two. Either you write the informal letter or the formal letter. Let's see what the formal letter is all about. Now, once again, you've got your sender's address, C41, Sakar Nagar, AB Road, Chembur, Mumbai, 4071. Then you leave a line, put the date. Put the date of your examination. Put the day you are answering your paper. Okay, be very sure on that. Then you write, to whom are you sending the letter? The name, the title, or the designation, and the address. Leave a line, subject. What is the subject out here? Complaint regarding pollution caused by nearby factories. Now, this is given to you in the question paper. So, please do not create your own subject. Huh? Write what is given to you in the paper. Then you see, have I written my dear sir? No, I've written respected sir. Be very polite when you are writing formal letter. There are more than 3 paragraphs, so I've followed the format. And the final line, I sincerely hope you will take immediate action in this matter. Now, while you are going through this letter, see whether I have strictly followed the rules of what I taught you earlier. You know, the use of phrasal verbs, non-phrasal verbs, use of idioms, no idioms, use of contractions, no contractions. Please see whether I follow that in my sample letter. Okay? And please do not repeat these mistakes over and over again. And then finally, thanking you, your subscription, yours faithfully, Sushant Sharma. Now, remember, you strictly follow the pattern, you strictly follow the content, at least write something in the content. And if your language is very good, you will get at least 3.5, 4 marks for your letter out of 5. Is that clear, my dear students? Now, please note this. Letters are the most accepted format of official communication in schools, government offices, etc. So I repeat, letters are the most accepted format of official communication. Okay, so you express what you want to express, what's in your mind, express through your letter. Express it officially through a letter. Remember, a text message won't be taken seriously in a professional context, while the letter shows respect and it shows a great level of seriousness. Letters, especially the formal ones, serve as documented proof. Okay, for example, I'm applying for a job, so my job application would be there as a proof on the table, no? Or a complaint letter. So letters, these So these letters become documented proof. Letters feel more personal than digital communication. Yes, my dear students, I repeat out here. Letters feel more personal than a digital communication. They show effort and great sincerity, which is why you, as students, should learn now itself how important are these letters and how to write these letters. Just a couple of tips while you prepare yourselves for the board exams. The first one, always write the format clearly. Make sure you have understood very clearly the format of an informal letter, the format of a formal letter. Okay? The format clearly. Leave a line between the address, the date, and the body of the letter. Do not forget to write the subject in the formal letter. Use yours faithfully because you do not know the person personally, right? So you use the word, you use the subscription, yours faithfully. Keep the formal letter brief and to the point. That's it, my dear students. If you have any doubts, any queries, anything to ask, please feel free to drop in a comment, ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them at my earliest. While we wind up this class, do give me a like, share this class with your other friends, and if you have not subscribed, do it right now. I'll see you in my next class. Thank you.